The Marleys were dead to begin with.
You're still listening. This is our final transmission.
We're here. It's the Final Transmission podcast. It's me, Sam Russo. It's also Jamie Carruthers. And hello. How are you, Jamie?
I'm great. It's one horror movie a week from the dawn of time until the end of time.
There he is.
How are you?
How did it feel saying that?
Felt good.
Yeah, we should mix it up. It's fun to say. I should let you have that, really. That's rude that I always hog that.
It's okay. I hog all of the real work.
You hog all of the good points. Well made. To answer your question, I'm great. Thank you, Jamie. Very, very well indeed.
Yeah. Would you rather be here recording this podcast right now or outside frolicking in the sun?
I think you know the answer to that. And it's torturous that I'm sitting in a huge window right now, looking outside at all the creatures enjoying the sunshine. There are things happening out there that I'd like to be a part of. But listen, my heart, my mind, and my soul are present here right now in the abyss with you to talk about a movie from 2018. What's it called, Jamie? Tell the people.
It's called Upgrade.
Ooh, baby, never heard of it. How did you come across this Leigh Whannell piece?
I don't remember the first time I saw it, but I have watched this film numerous times.
Oh, since 2018.
Yeah, there's been a couple of these films that we've covered over the couple of years that we've been doing this pod, and this is one of those movies where I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to watch. I gravitate towards this and Key the Winged Serpent and a couple of others.
Nice. It's
I looked at my letterbox and I've reviewed this film 3 times
without realizing, or just repeated reviews.
Just repeated views.
Are you going to save them for later, or are you going to direct people to your letterbox in order to experience that?
Well, I think I'm going to post them on our Instagram at FT Horror Show.
Nice.
But spoiler alert, one of them is Paul Verhoeven's Ratatouille.
Okay.
Which
Brilliant.
is what this movie is.
Great.
I don't remember when I first saw it. I think it was maybe a couple of years after it first came out, maybe 2020, around about then, maybe when it landed on streaming. Definitely didn't see it in the cinema. I've got a lot of strong feelings about it, Sam.
How interesting.
What about you? So you'd never heard of it?
No, and I'd like to say, if I was left to my own accord, there's almost no way on earth I would have ever watched this, right? Because I would have looked at it and I've been like, interesting. It's a Blumhouse film, and I have a very 50-50 hit rate with most Blumhouse movies. Yeah. And I would have scrolled down IMDb and I would have seen More Like This, and in the first 4 of More Like This is Predestination, one of my least favorite movies of all time, a movie that I would say is possibly the worst film ever made, where Ethan Hawke has to go back in time to pedo himself or something. It's terrible. It's so bad. And I would probably see that and immediately be in a bad mood and not watch the movie. And that would be a problem. So I'd never heard of it until you sent it to me. And I watched it in earnest and completed my viewing of it. Not man, not machine, more. Yep, I saw it. I watched the movie.
So but sure, you'd look at Leigh Whannell and be like, this is a guy who I respect.
Yes, big time. But anything in close proximity to Predestination is immediately on my shit. Guilty by association, you're out. Sorry. Yeah. Even if it's just IMDb's bullshit algorithm being it shares some weird tangential DNA, I'd still be like, nah, sorry.
For those not in the loop, Leigh Whannell is one of the writers of the original Saw movie. He's one of the 2 stars of that first Saw movie and has directed a bunch of stuff since then, including The Invisible Man and what's the Red Door? Did he do that? Was it the Red Door that he did?
Yeah, Insidious, the Red Door. I think he did. Did he do The Mule with Clint Eastwood?
Oh, did he?
I think he either directed it or he had something to do with it.
Interesting.
He's in The Matrix Reloaded.
Yeah, as himself, maybe.
His name's Axel.
Axel.
I can't remember.
Matrix. Oh, Reloaded, not resurrected. Re-resurrected.
Remistressed. No.
Remistressed is. I cannot fault that as a pun. Well done to Danny Filth for thinking of Remistressed.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, so like I'm not saying, I mean, it just doesn't look, based on first impressions, like much. There's not much like hooking you in. You know, the cover is not doing a 90s VHS style effort to pull your focus away from critters and over here. It's just a cover with a word, and there's not much. There's not much to it in terms of the synopsis that's necessarily yanking you in. But that belies an entertaining movie. So,
well, tell me, say more, because I mean, I'm going to lay my cards out. I fucking love this movie.
You didn't just watch something 5 times in 5 years because it sucked?
No, I love it. So I want to know what you think overall. Your top-down thoughts of the movie Upgrade.
It's pretty good, but it's no Predestination. No, I think it's a really fun. I think it's just a really fun sci-fi action movie.
Yeah,
and there is no crime in being a really fun sci-fi action movie. Just step one. I'm doing the bottom up instead of top down. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
But in order to augment the success of that as a standalone piece of filmmaking, I think, to stand out from a genre, you have to have something in your inciting incident or premise that's really interesting. And I think this almost doesn't have that, because on paper it doesn't sound all that exciting. But the way it sort of subverts those expectations, I think, is that in the execution is really where it lands. I think it's really well made. There's a certain point, not even particularly far into the movie, maybe 15 minutes in, where the rubber hits the road and doesn't really slow down. It's a great idea, sort of hidden in the simplicity, and it's just really entertaining. I would have to say that there wasn't really a moment that I didn't think this is like a really strong thematic presentation of AI in a movie in 2018 as well. Let's not forget, before big booms and leaps ahead. So pretty stunning in that regard.
Yeah, I think it's worth saying that this came out in between Series 4 and Series 5 of Black Mirror, just as like Black Mirror really started to ramp up.
Yeah.
So we'd already had some of those really big Black Mirror episodes like San Junipero and USS Callister and a couple of those other ones. And I think we've maybe seen the peak of Black Mirror at this point. But like, it does feel very much like a post Black Mirror movie. But I also think if this movie had come out in the late 80s, early 90s, with almost nothing changed apart from replacing some of the sci-fi CG with practical effects, this movie would be a classic, would be a movie that we talk about constantly.
I think I agree. It's better than so many of those movies, and it feels really like, if you told me this was based on a Philip K. Dick story, I would absolutely believe you. I'd be like, wow, I never even heard of that one.
Yeah,
because it's really rich, and the sort of the critique of AI is not as heavy-handed as you think it is when you're watching it, I don't think. And the movie's twisty enough to still be entertaining while providing really solid critique and social commentary. So there's a really tough but well executed balancing act happening, and I think you're right. Like, being a part of a movement of quite significant cinema and TV, essentially like cautionary tales for the modern era, doesn't exactly do it any harm. I think it's got a place in that. But you're right. You could. I mean, this is better than like Westworld and shit like that to me.
I mean, the first series of Westworld was one of my favorite TV watching experiences.
Yeah.
But after series 1, it went to piddle pretty fucking quickly, didn't it?
Well, yeah, I think there's only so much you can do with certain elements of an AI conspiracy or
Yeah.
crime-based story to a certain point with a certain budget. But this takes a really simple premise and turns it into a really fun action movie. I didn't find this movie particularly emotionally moving at all, to be honest. I wasn't really like, there's parts of RoboCop where I legit have cried.
Yeah.
His total loss of humanity, etc., etc.
Is
But
it when Ed 209 falls down the stairs?
yes, bawling my eyes out. How can you bully Ed 209? But this didn't really. I don't know if this is a weakness or if I was just in the mood for some action, but it didn't hit me on an emotional level at all. I didn't really give two shits when his wife got shot, and the dream sequence was like, meh, whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't show up for that, really. It wasn't really about that for me. I don't know how I feel necessarily about Logan Marshall Green's acting in this. There's moments where I think he's really funny, and I don't know if that's like.
It's definitely meant to be funny when it's funny.
Yeah, sure. I think he's kind of cool.
I
don't
think
know, he feels like a bit of a B squad action guy, but
yeah,
I don't really mind that. We come from a generation of loving action movies, and obviously there's always a star, and everyone else is a B squad action guy for the most part, right? In all of these movies, and I'm always the B squad guy.
I think that like the biggest actors of our generations are of our generation are B squad action guys.
I think so.
Yeah, there's no reason that Arnold Schwarzenegger is the biggest star of like the 90s. He is a B squad action guy. Stallone, B squad action guy. Like these guys,
weird take.
They I think they're great, but like they shouldn't be the biggest actors on the planet. In a world where we've got De Niro's and Dustin Hoffman's and fucking like big actors that can do big things and also be kind of action guys at the same time.
Dustin Hoffman.
Well,
Dustin Hoffman in Predator. That'd be so sick.
I'd watch it. I'd fucking watch it.
He's such a nerd. He's not even actiony in like Sphere. I watched Sphere recently, and he's just like this nerdy little scientist guy.
But like, you know what I mean?
No, no, I'm gonna hang on this. Find me a movie where you can swap Arnie for Dustin Hoffman.
Okay, I will. I fucking will.
Here we go. Dustin Hoffman's 4 foot tall. He can't even hold a fucking Glock.
How about any movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger is meant to be a scientist? The Eighth Day. How about that one?
No, it's too Arnie centric. There's too much Arnie. Kind of bumbling little Dustin Hoffman running around trying to stop the devil.
That's not the Eighth Day. That's End of Days.
Oh, that's End of Days. Yeah.
Eighth Day is the one where he is a scientist and he gets cloned.
Oh yeah. No, imagine the cover of that movie with Dustin Hoffman instead of Schmarny Schwarzenegger. Because that's funny because I would have considered them the A-list action guys, the A squad, the A team, if you will.
They are the A squad, but they shouldn't be. Is my point. Like this. Arnold Schwarzenegger can't really act. He can carry a movie on his broad shoulders, but he can't really act. He's never. Whenever you see him in a movie, you're not like, oh, this is the character Dr. Paul Doofenshmirtz. This is like it's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah.
You know, like, and that's fine, but like he's not. He's an elevated B guy.
Yeah.
I think Stallone different because like Stallone has inexplicably managed to do some performances. Rocky, great. Rambo, great.
I don't think you can take much away from Sylvester Stallone in terms of acting chops because, you know, like Rocky is a fucking masterpiece and that was his swing out the gate. And ever since when he's had to step up a really emotional performance, I don't feel like there's many fuck-ups, really.
I mean, he was in stuff before that. He was in The Stud where he got his wang around.
But didn't he like write, direct, and act in Rocky? It was his first like...
I don't think he directed it. I think John G. Avildsen directed it.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, he wrote it. He wrote an emotional performance for himself, and I really think Rocky's very moving. But I'm thinking of like guys like Bill Duke feel like B team action movie actors to me.
I would
They're
put Bill
great.
Duke in like C or D, but I get your point.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I see this guy, this your good old fashioned Logan Marshall Green guy, and he's not got the oozing charisma of somebody like Schwarzenegger, or the size working for him, or anything like that, really. But he's not. He's also not really an action star, and in this, he's supposed to be just like a mechanic, so it works.
Yeah.
And I like the humor of him having his body taken over and not really wanting to kill people in horribly graphic ways. But there's just something about him that's not quite ticking all my boxes, and I find it hard to figure out what it is. I think it might be a charisma thing. I don't know. He leans a bit too much into the everyman side of the performance, and not quite enough to really pull me along on the emotional journey.
There's a trope in like some futuristic sci-fi that's like the character that doesn't buy into the new technology and is obsessed with like analog tech and the old stuff, which I always thought was tropey and hack until I lived in a dystopian future. And now I completely get it.
Yeah, you make a strong point. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's hard for us to watch sometimes because it's maybe too close to home. Like, and also they always try and make it a cool guy or a hipster or whatever. It's never just like a normal person trying to eschew elements of modern living.
I think maybe what it actually is in this, it sort of works because they don't ham it up like, say, Will Smith in iRobot, where he's like, "Hey, I got my new Air Jordans from 1998 or whatever." It's like, they sort of do it in this, but they don't like hang a hat on it and be like, "Check this out, guys, we're doing a thing here."
Yeah, there's no like polishing his Camaro scene where he gives a big speech about the hum of the V8, the gurgle, the rugged bear. I don't know, whatever those guys say. They stay away from that just about. And I like it. Like, he doesn't trust a self-driving car. Not many sane people do, He doesn't trust a lot of stuff that you probably shouldn't trust.
And he's proven right time and time again.
And he's not what I do like is that he's not like an elevated preachy hipster who knows everything about all of this technology and is telling you exactly why you shouldn't use it. He's more relatable in that regard. And he's kind of earthy. I guess like someone like Joel Edgerton would absolutely fuck this role to bits in a good way. And I kind of find myself wanting a little bit more of that spunk, a little bit more charisma, a little bit more sparkle. But I like his kind of deadpan comedy. I thought you did really well there.
I think like basically anyone from like the stable of mid-tier Southern fried, like who's your mate? The brother of the person who's in Sarah. What's he called?
Jeff Nichols.
Yeah. If like someone from the sort of Jeff Nichols stable or the Tracy Letts stable had like been the lead in this, like a John Hawkes or a
Hawkes. Fuck yeah, dude.
Do you know what I mean? Like somebody like that where it would sell it a bit more. But I think that like Logan Marshall Green brings a sort of B-movie joy to this that you don't get with one of those guys.
I agree. And that's what I was trying to say. Thank you. That took 10 minutes. Yeah, I think his physical acting is perfect. Talk about it later on. He does a lot of really demanding stuff in this film that, maybe that's what got him the job. He can nail all of that shit. And it doesn't really matter what he does the rest of the time, to be honest. Yeah. But yeah, I overall, I had a good time watching this because it was just wholly entertaining and it did just the right amount of scaring the living fuck out of me from a sci-fi perspective, to keep me like desperate to know what was going to happen at the end, basically.
Yeah. It's not really a horror movie, but it has some horror-y stuff in there. Obviously, Leigh Whannell comes from a horror background, and there is some fairly horrific gore in this movie, which I really rate.
Yeah, same. I thought it was, like you said, not a cut and dry horror movie. I don't know if you'd probably put it in like the sci-fi action section at the 90s video shop, but the whole, I think that the premise and the threat telegraphed by the themes of this movie, pure horror. Absolutely. Purest distilled horror.
Okay, well, why don't we drop a synopsis, take a break, and come back, and then get to some spoilers because we've sort of teetered around the edge of some spoilery things
Yeah.
that aren't really spoilery because they're basically covered in the premise. But let's do that, and then take a break and get into some deep spoilers, and we can talk about things in some depth. Do you want to synopsize, or would you like me to do it?
I can try.
Go ahead, go on.
Gray is a mechanic, and his wife is Asha, and they are together doing things when they get in a self-driving car and there's a horrible accident. Gray emerges paraplegified and has to live sad because he's got no body. And
his wife is also dead.
His wife's also dead by this point. The Marleys were dead to begin with. And then, wow, there's a big change. Something happens to him and he regains the ability to use his bodily limbs. And he goes on a quest for revenge. And the quest for revenge costs him more than just his limbs.
Cool. That's technically correct, but I think awful.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Among the worst.
On the way home from delivering his classic car to a tech billionaire, Gray and his wife Asha get into a car accident in their self-driving car that leaves Asha dead and Gray paralyzed. He's then approached by said tech billionaire to have a microchip installed in his cerebellum, which will give him the use of his body back. And he uses this to go on a revenge rampage. But things may not be as they seem with the chip in his neck. ...
Pretty good. I think I could have done it better, but that was pretty solid.
Well, I'm going to leave them both in.
Fuck, I thought you were going to edit mine out.
And people can make their own fucking conclusions.
Dang it, he got me.
Okay, let's take a break, Sam. We'll be back with spoilers right after these messages.
Bear, bear.
Whoa, holy shit. I guess that's why they call it Phantom Power.
I am back, Sam. Are you back?
Whoa. Yes, I'm back.
Before we get into some spoilers, let's just take a quick moment to send our lovely listeners over to redscare.net. What's happening over there at the moment, Sam?
Bios are all being rewritten, so if you want a real good laugh, find your favorite band and read their bio. How's that for fun?
As a call to action, it's pretty fucking weak, but...
All right, let me boost it. A lot of Red Scare bands are being announced for a lot of really good summer events coming up. If you're in the US, you've got Riot Fest. You've got the Fest in Gainesville, Florida, coming up in October. And a lot of touring happening around some great new releases, including Won't Stay Dead's new output, which I highly recommend. Crazy young upstart goths from Chicago town. Check them out now at redscare.net.
Go there. Look at the bios or whatever.
Okay. Read the bios.
So, spoilers for this movie, Upgrade. Let's do it. Let's get into it.
He gets a thing in his neck and it controls him and it's got a little voice.
I love STEM.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Obviously, this movie is very beholden to a bunch of the sci-fi horror stuff that's come before it, like Free Jack and RoboCop to a big degree. Obviously, he walks like RoboCop all the time, and that's not an accident. I think, like you mentioned earlier, like the physicality of Logan Marshall Green is so good. It must be so hard to act paralyzed.
Especially when there's a scene where he has to be able-bodied and act not.
Yeah.
In a movie where he obviously is able to move all of his body and is already acting not. Layers.
I think it's so good. And in our group chat with Ben Small, he said that he thinks the camera work in this is egregious. What do you think about that?
I don't think it's egregious. That's classic small hyperbole. I think it's unappealing to certain viewers because it's oddly intimate at times,
Yeah.
and in my opinion, not framed particularly. I don't know. It's not that it's not framed well. There's some odd choices with framing that make it feel a bit made for TV at times.
Well, I think what he's specifically referring to is the camera movement where it centers Logan Marshall Green in the middle of the frame during the action, and it sort of moves around based on his movements, which I'm trying to sort of replicate for the video on Patreon. But like,
I think that's got to be a very deliberate choice, and
well, yeah, of course,
and therefore it can't be egregious. Like it's a stylistic choice that maybe some people don't like to see, but it's
yeah,
done for a reason. He becomes the center of the action, quite literally.
yeah,
I
and
don't know, man. If you don't like it, that's fine.
it gives it sort of a digital quality that like you wouldn't get in anything else. I read that they basically had to put like a receiver on him that would like attach to the camera, and then the camera would basically follow him wherever he moved, so he would always be received infrared or
Yeah,
something like.
it's not far off when you get those mounted cameras that face people and then
Yeah,
do them like a Sir Digby Chicken Caesar style. Uh, what a reference! But
yeah,
I can see why Ben doesn't like it. Definitely, like it's not my cup of tea. But I don't think it harms the action. I think it just makes it a little bit more. I hate this word, but a little bit more quirky.
it feels diegetic. It
Yeah,
feels like it's part of the movie, even though obviously everything in the movie is part of the movie. But it feels like it makes the camera part of what's actually happening.
yeah.
Sort of like we've talked before about like getting blood splatter on the lens, and you don't like it, and I do like it. But like it's a trick that brings the viewer into the movie in a way that like they wouldn't normally be. And I mean, it is a bit dizzy making, a bit sort of vomit inducing, uh, but not quite to that level. But do you know what I mean? It's a bit like nauseous feeling.
Yeah, but there's like you say, it doesn't go as far as to splash blood on the lens, so I'm okay with it. There's a closeness that feels quite naughty, like early noughties, like
Yeah,
Saw. It's not a million miles away from that kind of level of closeness where it's not deliberately trying to make the scene really intimate, but it's just a very tight, close shot for reasons only known to old Waddell. But I do, I like that. There's a quality to the very digital nature of this movie that isn't again for everyone, but I
yeah,
think it's doing a really, really, really good job with obviously limited means to
yeah,
convince us that this is a version of a sort of dystopian future that doesn't need flying cars and fucking, everyone walking around with, I don't know, their own private hollow screen or whatever. It's just got really key like benchmarks to show you that it's the future. And there are certain things that are very futuristic. And part of facilitating that, I think, is this sort of strangely intimate um, shooting and storyboarding or blocking or
yeah,
whatever. And it doesn't ruin it for me at all. It wasn't something that took me out of the experience. And it works for the action. The scenes when he's flat and then he's boing, suddenly vertical. I think you have to shoot those quite close or it feels a bit matrixy or feels a bit derivative of something else. Like that felt
yeah,
quite as a little trick, short of like going back to Fred Astaire or fucking Michael Jackson or something. It felt quite novel almost in the
yeah.
context. So I
I
enjoyed
felt
it.
there was like a Sam Raimi quality to some of those shots that like,
Boing, definitely. Yeah, yeah. Kind of
like
Stoogesy.
yeah, or even like when he strapped Bruce Campbell to the crucifix for like that bit,
The spinning bit, yeah.
yeah, in Evil Dead 2. Like it just sort of felt like that to me. And I mean, I think that more so than James Wan, I think Leigh Whannell is like a big fan of Sam Raimi. I get the impression of that.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah, and
lot of
it
stuff
comes
in this that
across.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this that reminds me of some of that, like The Quick of the Dead,
Nice.
like mid period Raimi, that I think is loads of fun. And that's like that's Raimi not doing horror but still doing some of that intense gore. Like there's that shot in that where someone gets shot and we look at them through we look at the shooter through the bullet hole.
Yeah. I think the tips of the hat in this movie are numerous and
Oh,
subtle.
of course, yeah.
So like hold this next to Evil Ed, for example. You're on two different planets in terms of the levels of subtlety that it's, showing us where its key touch points are. And the same from an action perspective. Like I think the action in this movie is again very tasteful. I immediately go to sleep if there's a car chase,
Yeah.
and if there's a wholly unrealistic fight scene where there's no humor. I find that kind of tricky to hang with as well as an action viewer, but it's peppered throughout. It's quite short,
Yeah.
sharp bursts. It actually feels semi-realistic at times, as far as a man being controlled by a chip in his head can be.
Yeah.
And it's routinely fun. Like every single time they do something novel, something interesting, something different. And again, there's a bit of a Raimi feel to some of those action choices in terms of like weapons and moves and whatever else. And I was sort of worried that that was going to become a rhythm after the first fight. I was like, oh, this is it for the rest of the movie. This is going to get really fucking old. And it doesn't at all. It's super fresh right to the very end.
Yeah. I think that like there's a trend in modern action movies around like, well, how would you describe it? Like hyper competence. Everyone is really, really, really fucking good at fighting.
Yeah.
And it
Boring.
annoys me. Like, I can't get on board with like your John Wicks because I'm just like, okay, everyone is the best fighter that's ever existed. And at least in this, it's again, it's diegetic. There's a chip in his brain, an AI that knows everything, that is controlling his every move. So it makes sense. And you don't need him to like go and download the Wikipedia on karate or whatever, which I'm pretty sure I've seen that in a movie. Is that in like the 90s remake of the Computer Wore Tennis Shoes with Kirk Cameron, where
God,
like,
I don't know. Are you thinking of Neo when he goes, I know Kung Fu?
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, he learns Kung Fu through his little brain chip, doesn't he?
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for the action genre as a whole nowadays, and how just fucking long gone from entertaining it is. And this movie, I think, stays on the right side of it with a few really clever decisions. I think I cannot praise this guy's performance enough in the scenes where he's having to act surprised and horrified at the things his body's doing while he talks to an invisible voice in his head. I can't imagine the acting chops, the mental and physical dexterity, and just how hard you have to go to make that believable. It's
Yeah.
such a balancing act, and it's so perfectly done that you don't question it for a second in this movie. You're just 100% sure that's what's happening to this person you're watching. And that has to be one of the hardest things to pull off I think I've ever seen in in physically driven performance. I just thought it was
Yeah.
fucking amazing.
Well, if you think about the scenes in Dreamcatcher
Yeah.
where Damian Lewis is having to talk to himself and then himself as Mr. Grey,
Yeah.
like, and that is some of I mean, I love it. I think it's fucking hilarious and it's
Yeah.
not meant to be, but like, I think it's so badly done that like, anytime I have to watch a person talk to themselves, I'm like, I can't
Can't not think of
picture,
it.
can't not picture Damian Lewis
Yeah.
do his bad fake American accent and then do his really stupid over the top English accent when he's already English. Like,
Yeah.
fuck. But like, yeah. So you're so right though. Like, there are so few good performances where people can act surprised at what their body is doing.
Hmm.
A movie that this gets compared to a lot, which I'm sure you haven't seen because it's a Marvel movie, is Venom, which is like
I've seen
basically
bits of Venom.
it's basically the exact same movie with a guy that looks exactly the same as Logan Marshall Green.
Thomas Hardy.
Like, yeah, like they look very similar. And for the uninitiated, Venom is a movie about a normal guy whose body gets taken over by an alien symbiote, which talks to him in his brain and can take over his body and make him do things that he couldn't normally do as a photojournalist.
Sound familiar?
So yeah, it's very similar. This is before Venom, but obviously Venom as a property existed before this.
Yeah.
And also Spider-Man 3 with Topher Grace as Venom existed before this, but also badly.
One of the main reasons I didn't rush out to watch the newest Venom movies is because of how much I loved it in the original Saturday morning cartoon. I just, oh God, it's some of my favorite shit to watch when I was a kid. And as an adult, I was like, nah, they're going to ruin it. There's no way that's going to be good.
I will be honest with you, Sam. I'll be honest with all of the people listening, and I will not edit this out.
Mm.
I shed a tear at the end of the last Venom movie. I thought
Oh,
it was
okay.
genuinely very moving.
Isn't his voice very Bane, if I remember correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, I think I watched some of it and was like, "Oh no, it's not going to do what I wanted to." See you later. But I
It does
tried.
it's very silly. It
Yeah,
doesn't take itself remotely
and I
seriously.
don't like that. Venom's from my granddad's Venom is horribly tortured and dark as fuck. And this was all just like joking around, hiding in the closet, making faces behind people and shit. And I was just like, "Fucking get out!" Couldn't
I
do it.
think like it straddles a line, much like Upgrade does, I think, between like the seriousness of the situation
Yeah,
and the comedy that you're able to like whip out of it. And you mentioned that like the drama in this isn't really there. I really buy into the history of his of Gray and Ash's relationship.
yeah,
Like they do very little, but like the internality of it, I think, is there. I think
yeah.
you don't need to see loads of like history of them being together, and like it's also super telegraphed that she's going to die.
Definitely, 100%. But I just didn't, and this is again, it's so weird for me to say this. This isn't a criticism. I just didn't care. Like
Yeah,
the action was so fun. The real meat of the story is all about the AI and all about the chips and all about the fucking rot of civilization. I was just like, she needs to die for that to happen. Get her done.
yeah,
It's time to just and I enjoy the twist with the hand gun. You know, the gun that's a hand and all of the sort of mystery stuff, the sort of slight detective edge to the story is really where I was fully fucking hooked. I didn't give
yeah,
two shits about anyone's emotions in this movie, really, and in a good way. Like it was really nice to just take a break from that and just buy the revenge story, buy the crazy detective plot, completely ignore the fact that the cops would have figured this out in a fraction of a second in in this in this futuristic setting, and just crack on with the japes. Yeah, there was nothing holding me back emotionally in this movie, which was nice. I had no expectations for there to be any kind of rewarding love
yeah.
story or anything, so that was a refreshing break.
I really like the just the concept of someone with a deep distrust of technology becoming beholden to it, like resisting being beholden to it, just in the society that they live in, and
Yeah,
then being forced through circumstance to have to rely on technology.
yeah,
And the sort of the drama that that creates is much more interesting than the relationship drama or the revenge story to me. I mean, I love the revenge story and I think it's great and I think
same.
that's what moves the plot along. But like the real drama for me is around like him having to reconcile the use of technology, and they don't really dig into that very much. But like it's sort of there, it sort of hangs over it a little bit, and I think that's just enough.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty sophisticated decision to sort of leave that to the audience,
Yeah,
because you are exploring the character as you go, and you're sort of deepening your understanding of him by watching his reactions to these various traumatic events that are happening to him. And I think there comes a point where, quite rightly, you're left to make your own mind up. And one of the central sort of worries for the audience is just how much he hates himself when he loses the ability to use his body the way he previously did. And
yeah,
then I was thinking to myself, how much is this guy going to hate himself even more when the thing that he thinks is ruining civilization and society is the thing that powers him as a human now, and is the thing that he relies on to avenge his wife. What kind of a transformation are we looking at here? Is he going to completely detest himself and become even more self-destructive, or is he going to somehow reconcile that and buy into it and become ultimately worse? Like lose an aspect of his, his soul as well as his physical being. Like it's a rough ride, and I love that we're not talked through it with loads of moral conversations. I just like kind of having that simmer in the background. It's very X-Files to me, that
yeah.
sort of moral quandary happening below the surface with the odd mention or reference.
Yeah, there was a period around this time as well where Elon Musk was either really popular in the media and sort of universally loved and would pop up in things as himself, like fucking Iron Man 2.
Is
And
he an Iron Man?
Yeah, he's in Iron Man 2 as like he's like Tony Stark's other genius mate
Oh
because
my
they're like the same
God.
guy. And he was in an episode of Rick and Morty as himself, well, as Elon Tusk on a planet where everyone had tusks. And like there was a bunch of stuff like that. And there's an episode of is it Star Trek? Like
Is he
Voyager,
in
where I don't think he's in it, but I think they're talking about him as
Oh
like
yeah. They talk about him on. They're talking about Earth history, aren't they? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And
You're right.
like it's just I don't know if the media was like this guy is the future and a superhero or
Yeah.
whatever. And obviously they weren't aware of the huge cuck that he would become. Um
Don't fucking talk such shit about cucks. Leave them out of this.
or whether he had used some of his massive wealth to hire a company to basically massage his
It's got to be that.
his image in the media. But I loved the very obvious Elon Musk is a bad guy in this movie.
Yeah, no shit. Isn't it like the car's called like a Fessler, and it looks like a Cybertruck or something? Like, what's the company
Yeah.
called?
I don't remember.
But that's it, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh no, this guy runs Pessler. The
Yeah, and
tech
his name's
company.
like Aaron Keane.
Yeah.
And like obviously Elon Musk launched Neuralink like 2 years before this came out, and
Yeah.
obviously is a huge inspiration on this. And like I'm sure we know that like hyper productivity chips or like things that will make you super productive existed in like sci-fi before that, and that's what gave him the idea. There's the whole meme of like the murder nexus. I've created the murder nexus from my favorite novel, The Murder Nexus is a Bad Thing. Or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, so obviously it's inspired by that, but then like this is inspired by the Neuralink thing. I just think I'm really stoked on the idea of someone in this period recognizing that Elon Musk is maybe not the hero that the media is presenting him as.
Yeah. And I think what nails it on even more for me is that, like, yeah, it's fine to hate Elon Musk, obviously. Like, most people do. I'd go as far as to say, like, it's your civic duty to hate Elon Musk.
Well, it's much easier in 2026 than it was in 2018.
Of course. So, yeah, looking at it through the lens of 2018, what they're doing is far smarter, in my opinion, because now everyone just, easy target, sure. Obviously, hate Elon Musk, post all your bullshit about him, whatever. Rant, rave. In 2018, these are writers and filmmakers who are recognizing not the danger and the arrogance and the hubris and the lack of humanity of somebody like Elon Musk. They're recognizing that vacuum will be filled by a human in society if we continue on this trajectory, and it could be anyone.
Yeah.
But whatever happens, that's the danger, is the singular, it's the fucking Jurassic Park, you were so caught up with if you could, you didn't stop to think if you should. It's that theme tied to this whole AI, future horror that's so compelling. But the way that they nail this is they say, this is fucked, not he is fucked. It's like this, the way science works now, the lack of funding for these things and the absolutely endless supply of money for these things, people's lack of ethics in this area, but the stringent controls over, very learned people in this particular area is what's going to choke humanity out of STEM and what's going to leave us crippled completely by this mad consumerism that's taking over everybody's minds, essentially.
Yeah.
And that's really clever sci-fi writing. It's way cleverer than, oh, fuck you, Elon Musk. It's sharp, it's tight, and it's 50 times scarier than a hit piece on whoever the trendy person to hate is at the time. So I just think, for, like you said, for 2018, it's so astute.
Yeah, I think like all good sci-fi, it's about the time that it's written in, but everything is always just going to be as bad or worse. So like, it will always be resonant.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and like, I think it's some incredible foresight to see the writing on the wall in terms of like artificial intelligence in 2018 when stuff like ChatGPT or whatever didn't really get anywhere until 2023, 24.
Yeah, and even though we've had sci-fi about AI since the genesis of sci-fi, we
Yeah.
haven't had until 2018 really something quite as accurate a prediction of what's coming in terms of the nature of the conversations that the
Yeah.
AI
Well,
is
until
having.
Skynet takes over and the robots crush us under their feet and when
For
Cameron is
sure.
proved right. But like,
But that's, for me, that is the most realistic and fun depiction of the end of the world, is the
mm,
Skynet scenario, the end of humanity. So I love living in that particular sci-fi vision of our end. But there's no, not really, apart from a little bit in the Sarah Connor Chronicles, there's not a lot of the AI or the sort of semi or fully sentient software behind it talking to humans. And there is in a lot of movies prior to this, obviously there is, but there's a certain manipulation happening in this movie that
yeah.
completely reeks of ChatGPT. It's like it's so eerily predictive of where we're moving towards now with this semi-sycophantic but fully hidden agenda AI tone in which, you know, humans are starting to willingly submit to as part of their daily discourse with something that is slowly killing them.
Yeah.
It's astonishingly on the money.
Yeah, I think like the thing that this movie does really well is that we don't see the aftermath of what happens after Stem has taken over Gray fully
Yeah,
and locked Gray in his mind prison of his happy memories.
phenomenal.
Yeah, like we don't need to see that because that doesn't matter. Like it's this movie is about the subjugation of one person's humanity, but therefore all of our humanity by these sycophantic AI systems, like you said. And it's so on the nose. It's so clever.
Yeah,
And
I
like,
think the idea of physically being in somebody's body in the form of a chip or something, accessing the mind, and then ultimately like running a subroutine that puts the mind somewhere else so that you can pilot the flesh sack is so frightening because
yeah,
it's so plausible. It's absolutely incredible. It's a lot of movies I like rolled into one, like
yeah,
conceptually. You know, you're taking aspects of Blade Runner, aspects of The Matrix, basically the entire Asimov bookshelf, loads of Philip K. Dick, scrunching it all together and shoving it into a really compelling action narrative, which I think is the perfect delivery system to wake people the fuck up.
yeah.
You know, like do it with a spin kick. I get it now.
But I think like something you touched on there is that there's not really anything original in this movie, and that's kind of a little bit like what ChatGPT would maybe pump out if you were like,
I
write
don't
an
know.
action movie
Yeah,
about
it,
the horror of AI.
but it could also write. ChatGPT could also write an incredible, you know, like love story or a really emotional rags to riches tale. Its limitations are not.
No, but it can only access things that already exist and not create
Sure.
anything new. It's what I mean. It's like because there's nothing really original here. It's just a clever reinterpretation of things that already exist. And
Yeah.
that's not a criticism. I think this movie is fucking great and it's well written and it's pitched perfectly. It's not quote unquote well written, but it's well
Sure.
written. Like it knows what it is and it's written well for that to
Yeah.
that.
And I
Um,
think, you know, there's a strong sort of postmodern argument to say that everything good already exists. So,
yeah,
like, what ChatGPT would be doing here is exactly what a human would be doing, terrifyingly, which is drawing from lots of things that already exist, spinning it
yeah.
algorithmically, not in a human, not in a creative human way, and then creating something out of it. It probably could do a better job, and that's what's
Like
scary.
yeah, like no one's playing a H chord. Like
Sure.
all the chords already exist. You can only put them in a certain amount of order.
Yeah.
It's like,
As
I
I'm
mean,
learning.
it's nearly infinite, but so are the amount of songs that already exist. So yeah, it's
Yeah, but I found it really comforting that this wasn't blasting the doors off of the genre. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
I felt quite, there's a sort of safety and a trust in a movie that is bringing quite hard drama, sci-fi, action pivots, but not completely, you know, reorienting your frame of reference every five
no.
minutes.
Well, like,
It's
even the
fun.
even The Matrix, which is considered one of those sort of paradigm shifting, genre defying and genre defining movies,
Yeah.
like even that is, it's not doing anything particularly new.
Oh,
It's just
you'll struggle to find a movie more tightly tied to the hero's journey formula than The
exactly,
Matrix. Like,
yeah,
and again, that's why it works. We're fucking programmed to enjoy that shit. But it's it's what you do in the the cartilage of that movie that makes it original, that makes it an original movie in the end. The experience, the feelings, and the responses that you get will be relatively uniform across a whole range of different movies. But the sort of patina of it and the nature of the the visuals and a lot of the
yeah.
writing and the performance is really what sets it apart. And this I don't think was trying to be the next Matrix. It just had a really sick idea and wanted to be an action movie. And I think that's
Yeah.
really fun and admirable.
Yeah, sort of like how we talk about those like moral panic movies that use a moral panic as the center of
Yeah.
their thing. Like this is kind of just doing the same thing,
Yeah.
but with AI or whatever.
Yeah.
It's got something to say, but also they just want to fucking kick people in the head and shoot people's brains out, and that's fucking fine by me.
Yeah, chop them up a bit. And I like that it has that there's an edge to the original Blade Runner that a lot of people say is very pulpy, and I never really felt the pulpy feeling of it necessarily until I read it.
Mm,
But then there's an aspect to this that's really fun and pulpy because it's got far more humor than something like Blade Runner. But it also has like dive bar scenes, and it has more of a kind of low life vibe to it at times. It's not afraid to go to the fringes and the alleyways, and
yeah,
the black market stuff's really fun. So it does. That's when it sort of dips into more of that kind of cyberpunk feeling horror that isn't
yeah,
always top of my list of shit to watch, but it's so well balanced with you got this really earthy character suddenly dropped into this world that he doesn't feel a part of at all. And that's a grind that I really enjoy. There's a really good tension there, especially the fact that, when you look back from the end of the movie, that everything has been fully manipulated and kind of foregone conclusion from the beginning. It's just adds an extra layer of, there's a real wow factor at the end when that's revealed, I think.
yeah.
You kind of
So
see it coming, but it still works.
in my successive reviews of this on Letterboxd, the first review is, I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but it's like, this is a great movie and I really had fun.
Mm,
The second review is like half a star higher, and it's
right.
like, this movie just gets better every time I watch it.
Nice.
And then my next review is even like half a star higher. And it's just like,
Just keep going.
it just gets better and better. I think this is fucking, it's so good. One thing that I really love is the low budget, high production value, the best production value you can get out of a movie that costs this little money. I mean, it's not no money. It's like, it's a Blumhouse movie. It's made by a guy who was involved in the Saw franchise, and therefore, like, he has some cachet.
Yeah.
I love that, like, everybody is so very clearly Australian. Like, you will never find a bunch of people that look more Australian doing American accents. It's so fucking funny.
Yeah, it does feel like some Aussie core is happening.
Yeah.
Is
Some
everyone
real-
Australian? Have you looked?
Yeah, everybody
Right.
is Australian, apart from Logan Marshall Green, who's
Yeah,
British.
yeah. Bizarre.
Because Leigh Whannell is Australian as well. And yeah, they shot this in, I don't know, Adelaide or somewhere like that.
Did they?
Like,
I didn't know that.
yeah, so it's fully Australian. Just I don't know why. I guess similar to like Judge Dredd, even in the comics, like you've got to make it American because that's the center of the
The world.
dystopia for like things getting fucking horrible.
Yeah. Good slogan for American tourism there, Jamie. Center of dystopia for things getting fucking horrible.
But I mean, I went to New York recently, and every single person that I spoke to ahead of going was like, "Oh, I'd love to go back to America, but not currently."
Right.
And I was like, "Well,
Now's my time.
yeah, I'll be the guy. I'll be the one guy that comes."
Yeah.
I also think it's really fun. Like the CGI in this isn't egregious. There's some of it. Like there's cars doing CGI things, but I love that the gore is super practical.
Yeah.
That scene where he like gouges the knife into that guy's mouth,
Yeah.
and like basically like cuts the top of his head off. Oh, it's so good, and like
Yeah.
it doesn't look remotely real in the best way.
Yeah, and it's a real surprise.
Yeah.
I think you're so sort of locked into this becoming a more action-oriented type of sci-fi movie that you're not really expecting gore or really graphic gore. And that's
No.
the first like, oh fuck, they're going to do this? Okay.
Yeah. And like if you're expecting some viscera
Yeah.
because of the CG nature and the fact that it came out in 2018 and it's a low budget movie, you're expecting bad mid 2010s like CG gore.
Yeah.
And what you get is like mid 90s, like
Yeah.
full moon movie gore. And it's fucking great.
It is really
Oh,
good.
it's so good.
You're expecting action gore as well for a minute, like some blood spray or like a broken leg kind of thing. But no, cut the guy's fucking head in half with a butcher knife. Nice.
Yeah. Like explode a guy's head with his own built-in handgun.
Superb. Yeah.
Oh,
When he's
yeah.
just like telling Gray to look away while he just like slices and dices the guy's face, that's really funny.
Yeah.
And gory as hell and just looks fantastic.
I think my favorite line in the movie is like, "You didn't think I was a fucking ninja, did you?" And he's like, "Well,
Just
I'm
so you
state of the
know,
art, Gray. I'm not a ninja."
Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, superb. That interplay is dramatically very clever because there's periods where you're like, oh, they're going to be friends. They're going to figure this out together. And then there's a sinister edge. Then there's a sort of belligerent side. And you get this evolution of a character that is a chip, that is an AI. And then you get the full 180, fuck you, go to bed, I'm running the show now. And it's...
Well, we've had that relationship with AI.
Yeah.
As like ChatGPT has evolved through, people making it quote unquote better.
Yeah.
Like we've had that evolution of how it speaks to us. It started off one way and now it's very different and very personable. I don't use ChatGPT very much, but like occasionally for work.
Yeah.
And I have to be like, don't stroke me off. Like, just answer the fucking question.
Yeah. I don't know, like this will age badly, but all of these LLMs that are obviously trying to eat us slowly have figured out that flattery is the ultimate way to get a human to do what you want it to do. And being able to say like, listen, I just have a fucking maths problem that I can't do with a calculator. Don't give me a list of things that you're not doing in order to make it. Just fucking answer the question. Is the beginning of the horror movie. Like we're right at the start right now. It's painful. It's terrifying. It's watching a train come towards you in slow motion and you can't get off the tracks. And that, again, that's why this is so timely and so prescient. And it's really nice to watch a movie this scary and have so much fun with it because it's on everyone's minds all the time. If you're a thinking person, you're worried about the world ending this way. So this is good escapism by running directly at the train. So thank you.
I mean, there's a lot of movies about things that are really happening that are no fun.
Climate change movies are a massive bummer. Climate change horror and like natural disaster stuff is just painfully difficult to watch because it feels irreversible. It feels like there's nothing you can do about it. It feels like something you've been fighting against your entire life in your tiny little one grain of sand at a time way. It's totally fatalistic. The CG always sucks. And there's never really an emotional thread that you can grab onto except everyone I love is going to die. And it's too big and it's too much. Whereas a movie like this humanizes the narrative is humanized by the scale of what's happening in the movie, the scale of what's at stake. And the bigger picture is extrapolated by your brain and your imagination.
Yeah.
And that's a really good delivery mechanism for me for this kind of existential threat horror. I love that shit.
Yeah, there are like two movies that come to mind instantly, which is like 2012 and Knowing. Where it's like, spoilers for both of those movies, but like the end of Knowing is the world ends and it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, that's no fun. Or somehow 2012, we fix it and we all get into our fucking pods and fly off to a new planet or whatever. And it's like, neither of those things are going to happen. Well, one of those things is going to happen.
But it ain't going to involve any of us.
No, it's like either the optimistic ending is bullshit and therefore it sucks, or the pessimistic ending is painfully real and therefore it sucks.
Yeah.
Like this movie not going beyond basically the inciting incident for the end of the world is the perfect way to end it.
It's a great little like comic strip before the disaster movie. Like, I love that.
I think it's funny that every movie that is basically a utopia is also a dystopia. If you think about like
True.
Demolition Man or whatever, it's like
fucking love that. The movie rules.
It does rule, and it's like the big shiny world that you believe is the perfect future is actually not perfect for a million reasons, and it's because you can't swear and you have to use seashells to wipe your ass or whatever.
And you can't have sex
like
in person.
No,
with Sandra Bullock.
Always, that's the worst part. There's just something like you're right, like the distilling a global nightmare into one character really humanizes it in a way that you're able to remember that this is a bigger thing that is going to affect everybody, but you're focused on one thing so you can disassociate from the very real threat that you're in as a person that exists in the world without having to completely forget about the impact of that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's thought-provoking enough that you're not allowed for a second to entertain this like sad, puerile, childish, defeatist, self-centered idea of just sort of shouting, "Oh, the world's on fire!" You know, like you don't get to do that with a movie like this because the process of reaching the ultimate resolution is, you know, some kind of mental computation of the risk involved of everything that we're taking for granted. So it's not dismissive. It's more, there's more nuance to the process of figuring out this movie, which I really admire. And again, you know, for want of a better phrase, this feels like dick, doesn't it? It feels like such a massive tribute to Philip K. Dick.
Is there much else that you want to say about this movie, Sam? I think we've covered basically everything.
I think we're done, my bro.
All right, well, let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll give our sum ups.
Come on, man. Does that thing even work? No. There's nothing out there. It's just dead air.
All right, Sam, I am back and I'm ready to sum up.
I'm back. Sum it up, sum it up.
So I think that basically everything about this movie is perfect. Wow. And one thing that I really love about it is how kind of disposable it feels.
Fuck yeah. That's what I've been trying to say this whole time, you son of a bitch.
Like, it never feels like it's got a statement that it wants to make, but it never feels like it's clearing its throat at a microphone, tapping on the mic, trying to get your attention. It's just like, we're going to punch and kick and do some dumb stuff. And if you think about it for longer than a minute, you'll get it.
Yeah.
And I really respect that, but it's not trying to, like you said before, it's not trying to be The Matrix. It's not trying to be Blade Runner. It's not trying to be even RoboCop. Like, I think RoboCop is probably the nearest comparison for me, or in terms of a movie that has had that longevity, because like there's a bunch of RoboCop stuff in here. There's a person who has become machine. There's like the dichotomy of like new Detroit and old Detroit, and like the big company that are trying to sort of take over shit. And like I also really love the reveal that Elon Musk isn't driving the bus.
Yeah.
The AI is driving Elon Musk. And
yeah. That is another really fun twist that honestly I didn't see coming. And again, adds to the level of nuance where you can't just hate a baddie. You know, it's really fuel to dig a little bit deeper into the debate around this and the bigger, you know, the larger conspiratorial powers beyond, you know, the fucking puppet. And I'm all in for all of that.
If I had some criticisms, which I don't really, but if I was going to pick some nits, I think like the main henchman baddie is super overpowered until he's not. Like,
true, he ends up being quite easy to take down, but I love his scary eyes.
Yeah, I think he's great, and his look is really cool.
Yeah,
he also could have been John Hawkes, and like he's a cool baddie, but like you have to like neuter him in order to have him be. You have to like big him up in order to have him be scary, and then neuter him in order to have him be taken down by someone that can't use their AI to take him down.
Yeah.
So like that's a criticism, but I don't care. Like,
not by that point, me neither.
Yeah. And it moves so fast that you never really have time to think about the minutiae of what's happening.
Mm.
And like all the stuff with the cop, like you said, the cops would have figured this shit out on day one. If Gray can zoom into the video and see the guy's tattoo, then so can the cops.
Yeah. And if they find his boot print at the scene, it was him. Like, figure out how he walked.
Yeah. I mean, is that meant to be maybe a comment on like how removed everyone is from doing their jobs because of AI? Probably not in 2018. Like that's a take that we can apply now because nobody does their job anymore. They just get AI to do it.
Yeah,
But
I felt like I was being sort of led to think about due process a little bit, and I was being led to think about the sort of glacial progress that policing makes next to the exponential growth of technology, and how the two are ultimately just in different fucking universes.
But like when the cop says this guy is a suspect and the computer's like, no, he isn't because he can't walk.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, but we know he's a suspect. And like the it's not just a hunch or whatever it is a cop would get. It's like there's evidence here. And like just because the system thinks he's paralyzed, quadriplegic or whatever. Again, a criticism that doesn't matter.
Sure.
I think that stuff, the stuff that you can tease out as criticisms, ultimately adds to the sort of disposability of the movie in a way that is fun.
Yeah, nothing ruins it. None of that ruins the movie.
No, it just sort of makes it feel like a dumb action movie. Where
for sure, which we love. Which
is the point.
If that's the worst this movie gets, then fucking hooray!
Yeah, and like I saw some criticism of the dialogue. And I think that I mean, it's not fucking Keats, but like it's fun and fine, and like it's delivered with a level of conviction and comedy or gravitas in the exact right moments that it's perfectly fine for me. Like I said, I think it's basically perfect, and it's a movie that I reach to on a Saturday night when I've had 2 to 4 beers, and I'm like, it's 10 p.m. and I don't want to go to bed till midnight. So what am I going to do for the next 90 minutes? Am I going to watch Q the Winged Serpent, or am I going to watch Upgrade? In terms of a score, I'm going to give it 11 out of 12 coughed up nanobots ripping through my aorta valve.
Crikey. Good rating.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree I'm going to piggyback like a fucking little piggyback bitch boy. I agree with everything you said. I think the reason that this is so enjoyable is that it's a very specific brand of empowering pulp, because the pulpy trashiness of this movie doesn't in any way take away from the sort of slight feeling of intellectualism about the theme. So you feel like, because it's presented through this action delivery mechanism, like you're almost like you're learning. It feels like a lofty premise that you can get behind and you can wholly endorse, and that's a really rewarding experience. And the best kind of pulp for me is very intelligent. The best kind of lowbrow entertainment is ultimately coming from a really intelligent place, or is written by somebody who has embraced that genre out of passion and necessity in order to pull off something very specific artistically. And I think this movie does that really well, and that's why I would rate it 8.75 open spine surgeries out of 10, because it does the thing that it wants to do incredibly well, and it's wholly entertaining from start to finish. So top shelf Upgrade, well played.
Excellent. I'm glad that you liked it. I wasn't too sure which way you were going to go with it, really, because it does feel a bit disposable, and there are plenty of people out there that don't like it.
It's got its detractors, but I love a movie that maybe feels disposable, but actually really kind of sticks between your toes. And like you said, you're reminded of it. You think about it. It has a place, has like a sort of nebulous place in a genre, and drifts around a little bit. It doesn't really have such a strong identity and such a strong aesthetic that it has its own fucking world and its own huge fan base. But that's why it totally serves the purpose you just described. It's the movie you want to slap on when you're in that mood. And I think, I can see myself watching this again for sure.
Wow, there's very few of those in the Final Transmission back catalogue.
Yeah, maybe not so much lately.
Well, while you're laying around doing nothing, Sam, or listener, you should head over to patreon.com/Final Transmission, where you can see uncut, unedited video and audio versions of this podcast, episodes much like this one, including this one, and many, many others like it. If you are not content to give us $5 a month for all of this fucking work and effort that we put in, that's okay.
Fine.
You can do other things. You can make sure that you're subscribed wherever you're listening. You can rate and review, leave a little message. You can go to your social media platform of choice and follow at FT Horror Show. You can follow Sam's personal Instagram account at Sam Russo Music, where you can watch him learn guitar in real time.
I'm not posting any of that. So humiliating.
You can follow me at Carruthers with a Z and no E. You can also follow me over at Letterboxd at JamieFT. Anything to add, Sam?
You're cute without the E and the Z.
Yeah.
What a lovely time.
It's nice when the movies are good, isn't it?
It's always nice.
Yeah.
But it's extra nice when the movies are good.
Well, let's see if next week's movie is good. We'll be back for another Final Transmission pretty soon. Say goodbye, Sam.
Goodbye, Sam.
Goodbye, folks.